treating each workout as a bargain with yourself. So this is the workout that I did today, this morning, and this is a VO2 max workout, and so it's 120% of your FTP. That's 80 seconds on and 40 seconds off. So this was in one of my build plans. So it started off, so I guess started with English plus 3. So it was 60 seconds on and then 40 seconds off. And then last week was 70 seconds on and 40 seconds off. So really you can see the trend here is to prolong the intensity you stay at any given watts. And at 120%, it's pretty high wattage. So this was a pretty tough workout. So I went into it this morning and felt like I just wasn't getting enough blood into my head, into my brain. Same thing happened a couple of days ago when I was doing which workout? When I was doing this workout, South Twin. And South Twin is similar, right? It was also 120%, but it was 3 minutes on. So that was really tough. But that was after my rest day, so it was okay. In English today, it's less in terms of each interval, but the rest is super short, 40 seconds. You barely would be able to get on your get back to your breathing, and as you can see, if you see here, even when I was relatively fresh, right, the heart rate wasn't coming down at all. So you go up to 170, and then 175, 179, 183, and then it comes down. It's the 2-minute rest in between. This saves your life. Comes down to 147, and then you go up again. So for these kind of intervals, it's all about just bargaining with yourself. So I went into it just thinking, okay, I know the first interval and the second interval is gonna suck because that's usually, it's within the first 20 minutes, your blood really wasn't flowing at all. So, the expectation, I knew they were gonna be hard. So just went in and then did my 2 intervals. But as you can see, when it gets up to like 175, and it wasn't really dropping at all, this one just gets super tough. So here, I just told myself I want to focus on this interval, getting through it. So let's take a look what's going on here. All right, I spiked up a little bit, overspin a little bit, and then kind of dip down. And then you just focus on your breathing. It's really important. Get ahead of your breathing. I mean, it's going to be hard, but you want to get ahead of your breathing and then stay on top of your cadence. That's super important. And then let the cadence and the wattage carry you through. And this part is always hard. So I use a lot of tricks. Like I just count each 2 revolutions of pedal strokes. I just count 1 and 2 and 3. I know there's like 30 seconds left, so I just need to count 15. It's easy. And then you get this little relief. And at this point, you're just thinking, God, I can never do this anymore. But once it starts again, you understand, okay, this is going to be a little bit more tough again because I had this longer rest. My legs are cooked. But so you understand this is going to be hard. So you're going in this one and expecting it to be hard. So it's all about expectation management. If you can manage the expectation that this is going to be hard, you'll actually feel like it's not that hard. But if you're going in and feel like, it's just 80 seconds, knock it out of the park, you can. And that probably means your FTP is set too low, and maybe you need to retest. But most of the case, you're going to feel like that's super hard. So it's about bargaining with yourself, right? So after that, after this interval, this is first set, and then you just look at here, my heart rate was at 179, 180, and my heart rate usually doesn't go over 185. So this was pretty hard. My heart was at the bottom of my throat, essentially. So you just want to get on top of your breathing again, and then enjoy, really unplug from the intervals. What I did actually was I was listening to music, so I turned off the music. I just get on top of my breathing. that's the second thing that I employed for this interval. So instead of hitting the interval straight with music, I actually went cold turkey for the first 3 intervals. There was no music, just focus on my breathing, and for short intervals like this, it's achievable. So obviously, first interval, you're prepared it to be suck because you're kind of restarting the engine again. And then here, you're kind of getting into a groove, and then here you're getting into, slowly getting into it. And here I actually fell off my roller. Uh, it was embarrassing, but it was all right. Nobody was around. But it goes to show you it was pretty hard, right? It went up to 185, the heart rate. That was right after I finished. And so the expectation of going into the next rounds are going to be super hard. So I was just bargaining with myself, stick with another round, stick with another round. But as you can see, there's only 4 intervals here. And once you've done 2, you realize, okay, there's only 2 more. Okay, just stick it out, right? And once my heart rate goes to like 180, 186, it's just a matter of time before you blow up. You just thank God that the rest comes right as you're blowing up. And at this point, after this, I was just thinking, oh God, there's another set of intervals. I'm just gonna do one. I'll do one and see how it goes, right? So actually, I got off the bike here and then blew my nose, got the fan pointed at my face a little bit more, and then got back on. So here, all I was thinking about is I'll do one more interval. So I got on here and did this first one. The first one, let's see, this one must be, yeah, number 14. So I actually wasn't trying to go that hard because I know this is the first interval, and if I want to do more intervals, I need to control myself, right? So 431, target was 419, so it wasn't too over it. And then there's the second one. The second one was a little bit easier. I did a little bit easier, and as you can see, the heart rate wasn't that too high. Obviously, the heart rate starts going up. So here's what you notice, right? The first interval is super hard, but the second interval it actually felt easier than the first because everything is up and running. And then the third one and the fourth one kind of just fell in place. Of course, they were hard, but they were, your mind has accustomed to it. So this is the power of bargaining, right? I started off with, okay, I'll do this one, but ended doing all these. And then, once you get to this, a little bit 2-minute rest, you just think, it's only 3 more. But you approach it as if they are the only 3 intervals of the day. So you still go in there, and then you knock the first one out. This one must be this one. You knock the first one out, and then I was a little bit cooked, definitely a little bit cooked. So this one kind of took it easy, but you can't really feel. For these VO2 intervals, I feel like the most important thing is actually have your cadence sorted out, and then just stay on top of it. As you can see, all my cadences were over 100, just around that neighborhood. I actually recommend when you go full gas, like these are full gas intervals, you stay around 90 to 100, depending on whether you're doing VO2s or you're doing other intervals. And this was the last one. And as you can see, I actually dipped a little bit with my cadences because so the higher the cadence, the more you're using your heart and lungs. So this one I actually just tried to muscle it because this was the last one. I'm trying to just get over it. But this was at my absolute max, right? You see 188. I've never seen that high of a heart rate. It might have something to do with the ambient temperature as well because it's pretty hot in the room that I was training. There was the sun on my face and all that. So just something to be careful about. And then right after you go into this 35 minutes endurance spin. This was pretty hard. As you can see, the heart rate here, that was pretty unbearable. So cadence was low, heart rate was low, was very high. So just trying to get on top of my breathing. Um, if there's a device that can put all your oxygen consumption along this line, which I know there are, but they're super expensive. I've used them on the national team. It's a very interesting device to have, because then you can see how your heart rate correlates. It pretty much correlates very well with your oxygen consumption, and that's a completely different topic. But as we were saying, this is all about bargaining with yourself. So at this point, you're just like, okay, cool, it's just 35 minutes of easy spin, just get it done. So that's how I got through a 2-hour workout this morning, and you just need to break things down, reach a milestone, and then look for the next one. Keep bargaining with yourself. It's basically endurance training is to try to kid yourself into hurting yourself. And if you can do that over and over and over again, there's some value in the training. And not only does it apply to training, it also applies to life. But the good thing about cycling is if you put in the work, usually you see the results pretty quick. Anyways, that's today's talk.